Naval Reserve in 1951. He spent the next 19 years rising through the ranks of the Navy, graduating from the Naval War Academy in 1972. He served as Director of Naval Intelligence in 1974, Director of the Defense Intelligence Agency in 1976. He was named Director of the National Security Agency in 1977. I'm live. Position he held for the next 4 years. Admiral Inman won the Distinguished Service Medal, the Navy's highest non-combatant award, and the Defense Intelligence Agency's Defense Superior Service Medal for achievements unparalleled in the history of intelligence. In 1981, Admiral Inman became the Deputy Director of the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, and the first Naval Intelligence Specialist ever to earn the rank of 4-star Admiral. Since leaving the Navy, Admiral Inman has been involved in several business ventures, served on a variety of corporate boards, and acted as an outside advisor to 3 presidents, the State Department, and Congress. He was chairman and CEO of the Microelectronics and Computer Technology Corporation in Austin for 4 years, and chairman and president and chief executive officer of Westmark Systems, a privately owned electronics industry holding company, for 3 years. Admiral Inman also served as chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas from 1987 through 1990. He serves as a trustee for the California Institute of Technology and is an elected fellow of the National Academy of Public Administration. He currently is the LBJ Centennial Chair at the University of Texas at Austin. I asked Admiral Inman if he could share some of the lessons he has learned in life while reflecting on opportunities and challenges he sees in the future. We're honored to have Admiral Inman here today to join us at our 25-year reunion as our keynote speaker. Please join me in welcoming Admiral Bob Inman.
How many of you have had to listen to me in previous camps? A lot, okay. I'm not going to be repeating that tonight in the process. Why do I come back year after year? Because of my enormous admiration of Max Warshauer and of this program. I'm a history major, and I look for the past, for history, to try to understand the impact and to begin to say, what does that hopefully tell us about the future? And what I want to dwell on with you for a few minutes is to look back at the impact of those who have pursued careers in math, how that changed critically in the World War II time frame, and where I see it going in the years out ahead. The bottom line is the need for talented mathematicians has never been higher. And I see that only continuing to grow. And the nations that do the best job of that will be the ones that are the economic leaders out in the middle of this century. The brightest talent tended to pursue academic careers, beginning in the late 1800s, pursuing on through the first half of the 20th century. As war clouds were beginning to gather over Europe and in the Far East, Winston Churchill put together a science advisory council in Great Britain. And President Roosevelt created one. He brought a noted scientist, Vannevar Bush. And the purpose was to reach out to the academic world and to tap the talent that was there to work on new problems, critical problems for the country's security. Now, you had in the private sector some focus on what math can do, AT&T monopoly for years. Bell Labs was one of the great research centers. IBM had what became the Watson Center. Later years, Xerox PARC. But it was really the focused effort driven by World War II that led to pulling people off campus. One of the principal bright young math professors at UT went to work at something called the Harvard Underwater Sound Laboratory to create the technology that let us find submarines and whole new means under the surfaces of the ocean. There were others who worked on problems like the Manhattan Project to ultimately accomplish the breakthroughs that produced the nuclear weapons that brought World War II to a close. For my history, the one that was critically important occurred at Bletchley Park in the United Kingdom, where a group of bright young mathematicians and a handful of physicists built the first large-scale computers to attack the German and Japanese codes. German codes there, Japanese codes in the US. Major contributor to the success of defeating our adversaries in World War II. When the war was over, even as he could foresee the end of it, President Roosevelt asked Vannevar Bush to look at this program, what it had been accomplished bringing talent from the campuses to work on the country's most critical problems, and to say, what can we do post-war to ensure a continued supply of that talent? And that they pushed the frontiers of research. So Bush put together a plan, and then President Roosevelt died. Warm Spring, Georgia, early 45. President Truman had never been exposed to it. Bush got an appointment, he presented the plan, and Truman bought it. And that was the beginning of a major push of funding research on universities in the post-war era, on a scale not seen anywhere else in the world. Finding bright professors and their students. And in those years, the early years, they simply went around looking at them and they wrote out vouchers. No applications, none of the rest of it. All the bureaucracy that's come. We trusted people in that era, that they were doing good research and they were going to spend the money effectively in the process. That led to the efforts of the National Science Foundation, the National Institutes of Health, many sources of government funding. And for a period, much of the brightest talent was tracked to the defense industry, building the next generation of aircraft, ships, sensors, this driven by the Cold War. There is a note in this history that after every conflict, we tended to draw down the size of our military when that was over. In 46, we took it down precipitously. We were absolutely unprepared for Korea. Took us a year and a half to get built up. Then when Korea was over, we drew down again, but not as sharply. Vietnam built up and drew down reasonably sharply. And after 9/11, Iraq, Afghanistan, we are clearly now and again in one of those periods of drawdown. The thing to look back at and to worry about in the future, clearly you do not need the manpower, the numbers of people that you needed when you were in the conflict. But the research, the continuing to invest in talent remains, in many cases, even more important. That first machine, the Sagaba machine, built to support the work at Bletchley Park. Was followed in the post-war years by the ENIAC and many others. And I told the story when I brought MCC to Austin in 1983. 10 times the power of that ENIAC computer was to be found in a small laptop that sat on this podium. And I bravely forecast that in another 20 years, that much power would be on a chip the size of your thumbnail. And I was years too slow. It happened much faster and continues to go at an incredibly accelerated rate. So that really leads me to my challenge to you. Where should you take your careers? Clearly there remains a need in the academic sector to continue to search out, perfect new approaches. But the demand is huge for applications of that talent. And the pace at which that's growing is pretty dazzling. And it's not the defense industries that are leading. Any of you here working for Google yet? Yes, okay. That's the sign of where things are going to go in so many different ways. But I would speculate for you that what's gotten us to this point has been the merger of mathematics with physics, computer science, pushing those frontiers. That's still going to be critically important. We're looking for ongoing gains. But where's potentially the most exciting one out ahead? To me, it's the merging of the competence, the talent in biology and chemistry enabled by computer science, and mathematicians at the heart of so much of that, for the advances in life sciences. I'm 83 years old. When people ask me why I haven't retired, why should I retire? As long as I'm still enjoying what I'm doing. But I would project for you before we get to the end of the century, halfway in the century. It's not going to be that unusual to find a lot of people who are still working in their 80s. There are a lot of new challenges that will produce for the country, rethinking a lot of other things. But it's enabling the ability to attack diseases in new ways, hopefully to help on healthy lifestyle accomplishments. Bottom line, the future is limitless. And much of that future will be driven by incredibly bright mathematicians. And seeing you here tells me that Mathworks is producing some of the cutting edge talent that this country so desperately needs. So I wish you great success in your future careers. Thank you very much.
I always love to listen to Bob talk. I could listen to you just for an hour, 2 hours, just sitting next to him at dinner. I'm thinking, man, this is just terrific. And it inspires me, and I hope inspires you all as well. What I was going to do now is to make a few remarks about the history of the Honor Summer Math Camp and thank some of the people who have made this event possible. So first, I'm going to a little about the history. 25 years ago, Don Hazelwood talked with me, who's Don over here, about the possibility of beginning a summer math program for high school students. As I thought back to my own experience at the Ross Summer Program at Ohio State, I thought that could be a wonderful model to build on, since Arnold's philosophy to think deeply of simple things had impacted my own life and career in so many ways. And that was the beginning of the Honor Center Math Camp. Some of the people who've been influential throughout the years would include Ron Brown, who's not with us, who was our first honors seminar teacher, and Diane McCabe, who's the Director of Academic Development for the Honors Program, and she also taught in the Honors Seminar and developed a wonderful course that complements what we do in math. So each of them made significant contributions to making our program better. In 2009, we made another major step forward. We brought in Andrew Shao, a former math camp student who's now the assistant director of Mathworks and the Honor Seminar teacher. Andrew added a new component to the Honor Seminar with his background in business, helped nurture new partnerships with companies such as 3M and Silicon Labs, and developed our alumni network, which brings us all together today. So his hard work and dedication helped set the tone for our entire program. Another person I should recognize today who's really instrumental in making this event possible is my administrative assistant, Patty Amende. Patty, yes. Patty commissioned the beautiful t-shirt quilt that showcases our t-shirts over the past 25 years. On the back side, if you haven't seen it, are all of the names of the participants and the back sides of the t-shirt. So that's maybe why the quilt is a little away from the wall, so you can see that. Along with the haiku from Ken Baker that I mentioned earlier, which made it onto one of the t-shirts. Patty works tirelessly on all of the little details that make events like this possible. She also has wonderful assistants, Genesis and Claudia, who form one of the hardest working and best teams that any program could ever hope to have. So, Genesis and our math faculty include, for the same people we've had for the last 24 or 5 years, Don Hazelwood, Terry McCabe, and Eugene Curtin, who've lately been joined by Edward Early from St. Edward's, and John Shin, who are teaching some of our more advanced courses. And each of these faculty gives their time, energy, and passion in helping build a better program. Terry, our associate director, is an amazing teacher and incredibly perceptive to how to nurture and develop young students in math and in life. I've depended on Terry as a collaborator on each of our projects and an inspiration to try new ideas. So Terry. So finally, I should mention one other person, my wife, Hiroko, who's been a constant source of support with the patience to put up with the numerous mistakes I've made throughout the years. She's always reminded me that the program is really about the people and it's about you. So when I see you gathered together today, I feel an enormous sense of pride in what you've already accomplished, and a sense of anticipation for what you will be able to do in the future. Let me leave you with the thoughtful words of my great friend David Bamberger, that nothing great ever happened without enthusiasm. Your energy, passion, and persistence will enable you to do things that today you may have thought impossible. I look forward to seeing what you will do in the years ahead. All the best to everyone, and let's continue to enjoy the evening, and later tonight, some fireworks to celebrate both the 4th of July and our 25-year anniversary. So thank you all for coming.
There's supposed to be one more thing. I don't know where it is.
It's in the box. It's under here. Pardon us a moment. This is unexpected, but I think important.
Okay.
How do you get it
I'll
out?
get it. I'll get it.
There you go there.
Okay. I'm not a speaker. You'll notice that what we end up doing in our classes is say, you read it, and read it again, and read it again, and until you finally understand. And so, what I'm going to do is just make this little presentation. Okay, this is to Max. Appreciation for 25 years of visionary leadership, founder of the Mathworks. Always think deeply of simple things. So here you go, Max.
They said I should say something, so I should say thank you all so much. But have a wonderful evening, and it's been great to see you all. So I didn't mean to. Thank you.